Welcome to Alex Answers. Today's video is about the morality involved in addressing world hunger. Whose responsibility is it? How should it be handled, and why? From an acute quality of life perspective, the answers might seem obvious. World hunger would be everyone's responsibility, and they should all contribute to its resolution in whatever way they are able. The starving should do what they can to improve their dietary standing, while those with more should share what they can with those with less. In fact, the greater the difference in one's standing, the greater their obligation to uplift those without. When viewed through the lens of acute liberty, the answer is more tempered. Liberty asserts that the only restriction on any given individual's rights are where further exploring those rights would restrict the rights of another. A neighbor might be wrong to consume a disproportionate amount of the available, limited food supply, depriving others of their equitable share. Someone on the opposite side of the planet, whose food the starving likely never would have had access to, is not obligated to ensure that their food supply is available. Imposing such an obligation would be bestowing disproportionate liberty upon the starving at the expense of the liberty of the distant, more dietarily secure. Viewed more chronically, additional considerations come into play. For example, if the distant, dietarily secure individuals were in some way responsible for said starvation, then they would have already asserted their liberty above that of others, and the scales would balance differently. At the same time, if those starving were unwilling to change their lifestyles in ways that could reasonably be expected to address their life challenges, then it is less reasonable to expect others to impose upon themselves to remedy the problems that those suffering will not themselves take measures to address. This is further complicated if the distant individuals inflicted or contributed to the starvation with the intent of causing said group to adopt changes. As is often the case with questions of morality, the two core elements do not align as conveniently as might be preferred. Still, the differences are manageable, especially if we keep liberty and quality of life in mind when designing our solutions. From the quality of life aspiration, the goal would be to raise those starving up to at least the point of dietary security, and perhaps even some excess, as this would allow them to assist should misfortune befall others, and afford them some insulation should it befall them. With the focus on future liberty, the aim would be to assist in a way that makes continued assistance unnecessary, barring adversities that cannot reasonably be prepared for. This means enabling them to provide for themselves, which can be accomplished in a variety of ways, such as education, training, equipping, constructing, or rewilding. So, whose responsibility is it? Mostly those responsible for the problem, with a smaller obligation to those with sufficient excess to be able to assist without causing themselves hardship or unreasonable vulnerability to it. How should it be handled? The relevant groups should work together to enable those starving to provide for their own future needs.